Hello everyone. So today what I wanted to talk about, I saw this on Twitter. So there's this hashtag writing community or hashtag I'm writing, and it covers like people who write all kinds of things. So romantic stories, horror, sci-fi, speculative fiction, whatever. Like basically, you write something, you can mention it on those hashtags, which is brilliant because I think anything that builds a community is fantastic, and we're going to get a bit to that towards the end of this video. But one question I saw someone mention on Twitter, so I'm terribly sorry. I should have written down whoever posted this. So if you are this person and you read this, then apologies. Credit to you, but I apologise. I should have checked this before I recorded the video, but I didn't because idiot. Right, so this question that came up was, when can you consider yourself a writer? Like, at what point can you say, right, that's it, I'm a writer now, I can call myself this? Like, at what point does aspiring end and then, say, professional begins? Here's my take on this. You write something, you're a writer. I would advise, it's up to you because live your life, put yourself how you want to. I personally don't want to put aspiring anything. Like, I already do what I want to do, it's just that I'm fully aware that I am not at the ultimate level I'd like to be, but I think that's true of a lot of people, let's be honest, because I think most people who achieve something then go, well, I've achieved this thing, but, I now want to go on to the next thing and the next thing. It's very rare that someone gets to a point and goes, I've achieved absolutely everything I want to, and now I'm just going to stop because, I'm done. Don't get me wrong, if you can retire and relax and enjoy yourself, awesome. If you get to that point and you're happy, brilliant. I'm not dissing that for a second, live your life, But here's the thing. If you are someone who enjoys writing, if you've got stuff out there, if you're promoting it, as far as I'm concerned, you're a writer. And you've got nothing to apologise for. You don't need people's validation. You do what you want to do. And here's the thing. I'm fully aware that there are people out there, and some people I know, who aren't bothered about what I write, who think, oh, you should be doing, something else. Well, I don't want to do something else right now. Maybe I will do in the future. Who knows? But for right now, and I think from my personal experience, because I had this, like, when I was at uni and stuff, and I wanted to, write a novel and do, serious things and try and be serious. But I think what I've learned is that that's not me. That's a weird thing. It's like, people talk about write what you know, but it's like that comic world and the thing I've created is the thing I love. I think that's the thing I've felt at the moment. Like, I've done other things, so I did, like, sketch writing for a while, I did performing for a while, I've been back and forth on various things for a while, but it does keep coming back to this, and for whatever reason, Reynard City sticks with me. And it sticks with me despite the fact, like I say, some people have been quite vocal about what they do and don't like about it, and that's fine. Not everyone, let's be honest, not everyone is going to like what you do. Endgame is currently making $1 billion out there, and there are people that are decrying it for, different reasons. And don't get me wrong, if you don't like Avengers Endgame, Avengers Endgame, hello, I like Avengers Endgame. I was there on my lone boat, and, there was a cinema where I could park that lone boat, and I paid for my ticket legitimately. I'm a Viking, but I do not pirate films. Okay, I'm not entirely sure where I was going with that. But anyway, the point is, being a writer, the process, I think it's important to be honest with yourself. Like, there is only one person who can really judge your progression as a writer, and that's you. So, it could be that you want to be published. Well, great. I had a book, it was through the company called Publish America, and to be fair, they did what they said they were going to do, but did it change my life? No. So I don't think just being published necessarily makes you a great writer either. So I think that's the important thing as well. Like, don't assume just because you get something published that suddenly will instantly make you like this massive writer, because that doesn't happen. And equally, let's say, you are not above anyone. You know, there are fantastic fanfic writers. There are fantastic people that are writing romantic comedies. There are fantastic people that are writing... Like, just because I don't like horror films doesn't mean there haven't been great horror films. It's just that it's not my personal interest, you know? And don't get me wrong, I've seen a couple of horror films that I absolutely adore, like The Shining and Final Destination, but it's not something I actively seek out. And the thing is, I think the other side of it is that everyone's journey is different. You know, not everyone will progress in the same way. Not everyone, you know, your ambitions will be different from my ambitions, will be different from someone else's ambitions. And none of it is wrong. That's the thing. That is what I want to say to you. And equally, the way you write. Like, this idea that, oh, you have to write every day or you're not a writer. Again, I would disagree with that. I mean, I think it's something you should aspire to, and that the more you practice and the more you get yourself out there, the more you're going to get out of it. Absolutely. You know, I don't think anyone could disagree with that. I think that is important if you can do it. But equally, if you're working a full-time job, or you've got family to look after, or you've got things that you need to deal with in your life, it's not always possible. But if you write notes on your phone, if you have a little notepad or something whilst you're working in an office, if you use your, write down ideas during your break times, if you do a little bit at home, a little bit of progress is still progress. That's the thing. It's like, the amount that you put in, that will determine how far you get with things, but it might be that you take slightly longer than someone else. But it's like studying for a test. Like, there are different ways of studying for a test, there are different approaches, and some people will work better than others. Some people will work in the day, sometimes people will work in the evening, sometimes, like, for example, like when I want to write, I will get a coffee in the morning and then write, whereas I think other people might want to break off in the middle, or work solidly and then relax at the end. There is no right or wrong. The only thing is, if you're trying to do it and you find it frustrating, then it might be that you might want to change your routine if it's not working. And of course, the other side of this as well is feedback. And again, this is something that someone mentioned, and again, I didn't look it up because I didn't think. I was just kind of looking online, and it was like, okay, that's interesting. And yeah, so again, if that person who wrote that tweet is watching this, I'm sorry, I should have noted down your name. I don't know why I'm talking through my hand. But yeah, so I think, yeah, so again, another thing they were saying about kind of like the lessons that you've learnt through this process. And I think one of them, I think I've found, and again, I don't mean this with any disrespect to anyone, I think you do have to be wary of who you ask for feedback, what they say, and how much it applies to you. Because you don't have to take everyone's advice. You don't have to do things exactly in the way that people do them, because sometimes the perspective someone has might not necessarily be the right one for you. Ideally, you want to try and think of people who get what you're trying to do, but can kind of have enough distance, and it's quite a hard balance. So, like, very close friends or family, maybe not a good idea, because, like I say, some people will either be too brutal, or they'll be too, like, hands-on, just go, it's good, which either way doesn't help you. You want someone who can say, all right, well, I like this, this, and this, but you should build on X, Y, and Z. Here's what I would suggest. And it might be, and to be fair, I put my hands up. When I've given feedback for other people, I've sometimes done this, where you miss the point of what someone's going for, and you might point something out, and they'll say, well, actually, there's this, this, and this, and it's like, okay, fair enough, you know that better than me, all I'm giving you is my opinion. So equally, if I ever give someone else feedback, it's their call what they add or don't add, or agree or don't agree, and you trust that people appreciate what you're saying to them, but it's not always like, what you say might not always be appropriate to them. But That's the thing. Like, I will always try and look at what someone's doing and think, okay, what is the story they're going for? What way could they improve it that would kind of fit with them? Not like what I would do, because what I would do would be completely different sometimes and may not be appropriate. And I mean, it's tricky. I mean, writing can be very difficult. I think the thing is, it's always a process. It's always a way that you're kind of always trying to build on what you're doing. And I think for me personally, like the fact that we've been rebooting the comic recently, so I could give like a specific example on this. So, for example, not tripping over your words while recording a video. So, so the character vibes in Reynard City Chronicles is a bit different from how we did her originally in the story. So, I mean, we already had it, so we've got like a singular art style for a 40-page graphic novel as opposed to a 25-page one. But equally, like, I wanted her to be less of a jerk, to be honest. Like, I realise looking back now that to be very literal of having this strong character who's kind of hitting people, and it's like, that in and of itself doesn't make the character strong. And I think the element that kind of makes her strong is that she kind of goes through the ringer and she's had this like massive challenge to her world and what she thought was her world, and everything has changed. And it's about her adapting and kind of, in effect, kind of looking beyond herself and this bigger world. And I think, I think that's kind of come through a bit more, and also kind of making her more of the kind of voice of the audience. Because I think, for a while, I think a lot of films did this, where they kind of inserted a character into a story where they were kind of like the audience surrogate and they were kind of learning what the world is like. Whereas in this instance, Vibes is both the central figure and the audience, because she's kind of feeling, I think, like what a lot of people would feel in this situation, which is, this is very weird. Like, you are saying that what I thought was my life is actually completely different, and it's actually incredibly weird and doesn't make sense. And so, yeah, so there's another line, like, so there's interaction with Dr. Antibiotics, and I think, again, we wanted to develop that, because I think, again, I wanted that character to be kind of sympathetic, but also a bit odd and also a bit quirky, and again, had it all kind of fit, so it's like, it feels like this could, I don't want to say it could happen because it's mental, but I think there's like a lot of the Spike Jonze, Charlie Kaufman films I quite like, where you take people in absurd situations, but they kind of handle it in a very sort of deadpan, like, okay, this is the world we live in, fair enough. Or like, I mean, Wes Anderson's very good for that. I think very distinct aesthetics and the reaction, like I say, there's a very particular type of acting and everything that comes with it. And I think, I don't know, I don't like to say, I don't want to toot the horn, but I think because we've had this 10 years, we've been able to kind of look at how we were doing the story and just go, okay, we now know what works and what didn't. We now know where we want to go with this. And so we're going to change it around a bit and have a slightly different structure and kind of try and make it leaner, try and make it a bit more efficient, try and cut out a bit of the faff, basically, and then kind of get people into this story a little bit quicker. And okay, there have been some trade-offs with that as well, so some people argue, like, at times the story is a bit too quick and a bit too compressed with Chronicles #1, but I think the upshot of that will be, like with future issues, it'll be a bit easier to kind of get into it, because we'll kind of have this progression in 1 or 2 graphic novels, as opposed to it being very stretched out, and arguably a lot of the things that were in there could have been, I think, kind of compressed down a bit. And I think, because my original instinct was to start where we started with Chronicles #1, and yeah, I mean, that's the thing. I think we learnt the lesson. So, talking of writing, talking of things like this, just a final reminder, we have got 2 more days. So, the 30th of April is the final deadline. So, if you're watching this video after the 30th of April, apologies. But yeah, so writing contest. If you are a writer and you fancy winning some prizes and being included in our next collection, links down below. We want you to give it a try. and the range of stories and writing that we want to see. So, short stories, what ifs, monologues, sketches, poetry. Mix it up, different characters, different perspectives. Bring in your original characters. All of that is fine. The only things that I think I would stipulate on it are, one, very strictly we want it to be like your original character, so we can't, as much as I love it when we do the roleplay for them and put in, characters from like other franchises, we can't really do that with this particular collection. But like I say, if you've got an OC character that's linked to a different fandom, that's fine. It's just cut out the bits that, like I say, refer to Zootopia or Marvel or whatever. So yeah, so that's that. And we've had some great entries already, and I'm really chuffed with some of the effort that people have put in. Likewise, if you've got any questions, by all means comment below. You can submit it by, like I said, doing it via email, or you can put it on DeviantArt, or you can, sort of do a file and link to it on a Twitter or Facebook or what have you. But like I say, so long as you kind of link it to us, that'll be fine. So anyway, I think that covers that, and we will be talking some more. I'll be putting up an event page about the Castle Mal stall, which will be on the 6th and the 7th of July, which I'm very looking forward to. And I'm also going to do a quick review of She-Ra Season 2 as well, because why not? And also, Norwich City, we are Premier League. Much love.